All right, welcome to this screencast. What you are looking at is your personal heart rate zone chart. I've made a little customizable heart rate zone chart for you to become a beneficial tool for you to use while you're doing cardiovascular exercises. All right, the way that you measure your cardiovascular exercise is through heart rate and rate of perceived exertion. And this covers both of them. So this becomes a really helpful tool for you. You're going to be using this tool when you need to figure out what zone you're working out in or how hard you exerted yourself during an exercise. All right, so this is what you are going to be using to determine that information. So your goal, so let me show you the goal of this assignment, is you are going to be filling in your personal heart rate zone chart. Okay, when you complete this assignment, you would have filled in this, your name, your age. You would have filled in your zone names right here. You'll be able to know what your percent ranges are right here. And you're going to list a few characteristics for each of the zones. So wherever you see a thumbs up, that is what you're going to be filling in. Once all that information is filled in, you are then going to turn it in, submit it as your assignment on Google Classroom. So in order to complete this assignment, what you're going to have to do, is first, you're going to go down here to this cell called resources. You'll see it right there. When you click on that cell, these two handouts are going to pop up. What I want you to do is I want you to click on the one called the 5 heart rate zones. You don't need to worry about the RPE chart one. Just click on the 5 heart rate zones. Now, what you're going to notice is that it's going to pop up as a separate tab, which is what you want. You're going to be using this sheet to actually fill in the information you're going to need for your personal heart rate zone chart. All right, so make sure you have both of these up in order to complete the assignment. The first thing I want you to do, we'll get this out of the way, is I want you to put in your name right there. Just put in your name. Right? That should be pretty easy. Now, before you fill in your age, please don't fill in your age yet because I want to explain something first. Okay, what you're going to notice is, or what you will notice after you put in your age, is that this number right here is going to change, and all of these numbers are going to change as well. Okay, I've created a formula within this template. I've created formulas that will be changing. These numbers will change based off the formula that I've created that has to do with your age. So once you enter your age, all these numbers are going to change based off my formulas. Okay, so the main reason for that is because if you look here, 220 minus your age is your maximum heart rate. So this is just a formula that's used to help you determine what your maximum heart rate is, and your maximum heart rate is the hardest your heart can work in 1 minute, how many times it can beat in 1 minute. So as you get older, your maximum heart rate decreases. All right, so it decreases over time. So let's take a look at this. Okay, 220 minus your age. Well, right now it's 220 minus 0 because there's no information given there, right? So let's see what happens. Now what I want you to do is I want you to go here into this age box and I want you to type in your age. So you'll see I'm going to type in 13 and you'll see what's going to happen to the maximum heart rate. Maximum heart rate now, all right, maximum heart rate now went from 220 to 207 because this formula took 220 minus 13 to get you to 207. But what the formula also did is it changed all these numbers. And you'll notice zone 5, which is your max heart rate zone, which we're going to figure out in a minute, is the highest your heart rate can, the high end of it is 207. Because these two numbers should be the same. Your maximum heart rate is also the high end of your maximum heart rate zone. So if I enter these formulas correctly, your sheet should look like this. Okay? So now what are we going to do next? I want you to know the names of each of the zones. All right, I want you to know the zone names right here. So we're going to focus on column letter B. All right, so here's column B. We're going to focus on this column right now. The way that we're going to do this is we're going to go back to our sheet here, the 5 heart rate zones. Let's start with zone number 1. We'll work our way up. Zone 1. What is the name of zone 1? Zone 1, and I want you to type it in exactly as it shows here. So very light, and then underneath that, warm up and recovery. So what you're going to do here, okay, I'd prefer you not copy and paste it because it will change the formatting, and plus typing it is going to help you remember. So very light, warm up, and recovery. So you're going to go here, all right, and you are going to type very light, and then you're going to put in parentheses warm up, recovery. That tells you, by typing that in, that you know this is your very light. Oh, the other thing I want you to do is I want you to select all of these cells, if you can, and go to Format. I want you to go to Text Wrapping, and I want you to wrap your text so it looks like that, okay? So what you're going to do is very light, warm up, and recovery. So you know zone 1. So let's go see what the name is for zone number 2. So you're going to come over here. You're going to do zone 2, light, basic, endurance. All right, light. So then you would come in here. You would type in light, and then in parentheses, basic, endurance. Right? So that tells you that this is zone 1 is very light, a good zone for warming up and recovering from a workout. Zone 2 is where you would build very basic levels of endurance. And the other important thing to remember is, look here, your very light zone is heart rate 104 to 124. That's your range for very light. Your range for light would be 124 to 145. All right. So zone 3, 4, and 5 is when you really start to build and see improvements in your overall fitness. So what is zone number 3? By the way, zone number 3 is the most important zone. All right. It is the most important zone. This is known as your target heart rate zone. It's where you improve your performance. So here we would type in target heart rate zone and improve performance. This is the zone where you actually start to see that improvement happen in your overall cardiovascular system. Okay, right here, zone 3, target heart rate zone, is where you improve performance. All right, and you'll notice this is really the key range that you need to know, 145 to 166. If you're 13, 14, it's very similar. Okay, so now let's look at zone 4. I'm going to have you fill in zone 4 and zone 5 on your own. I don't think I need to give those as examples anymore. Just make sure you flip back over here to zone 4, zone 5. So you can go ahead and pause the screencast and fill in zone 4 and zone 5. And when you're ready, you can just continue. So now what we're going to do is we are going to be focusing in on now we're going to focus in on column C. So all of this information right here. All right, these are your percent ranges. Now you're going to notice it's percent based off of your maximum heart rate, okay? So these percentages are based off this number right here, percentage of that number. For some of you, if you know percentages really well, this makes sense. For those of you that might not understand percentages really well, that's okay. But these percentage numbers are based off this number 207, okay? So let's take a look now at what's going to be happening. You're going to go over to this heart rate zones. Let's look at zone 1, and you're going to look at the percentage here. Zone 1, the percentage is 50 to 60% of your max. So you would go in here, you would do 50 to 60% of your max. And basically what that tells you is that if you do this right, half of 207, okay, is about 104. Right? So that's about right. So 104 heart rate is zone 1, the bottom end of zone 1. The top end of zone 1 is about 60% of this number, 207. I'll do the next one with you, and then I'm going to have you do the rest. So 60 to 70%. So right here, we're at 60 to 70%. All right. So you can start to see things are making more sense. All right. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to fill in. All right. I want you to fill in these 3 columns right here. So go ahead and pause, fill those in, and then you can continue. Now, we're going to focus our attention over to here. All right. Focus our attention on these final boxes, which is column G. Remember, to complete this assignment, I'll go through and review it at you at the very end, but we have all these open boxes that we need to fill in. So once again, we need to go back and we need to go to the 5 heart rate zones. And what this is asking you, first of all, list 2 to 3 characteristics for this heart rate zone and RPE range. So really your goal here is you can use dashes, bullet points, whatever you want, but you want to come up with about 2 characteristics for each of these. And you're going to get the characteristics here. So what I want you to do is just paraphrase. I'm not going to do the sample for you. I want you to do it. So you'll notice that in this section, we see a characteristics part right here. So those are the characteristics that I want you to know about. Okay, right there, the characteristics. And the reason I want you to know characteristics is because, for example, let's say you were running the mile for me, and you did not have a heart rate device, and I asked you how you were feeling, what is your RPE, and you were breathing really heavy, then you could cross-reference it with this chart, and you could say, oh, I was probably in zone 4. I was probably in zone 3. All right, so it's important to understand the characteristics that are associated with each one of the zones. So paraphrase those, format it any way you want in that cell. So I'm going to pause. I want you to pause now, and I want you to fill in each one of those boxes. And then when you're done, okay, I want you to unpause and watch the rest of this just to make sure you did it correct. All right, so now, if you have completed this, you would have filled in your name. Make sure you have your name filled in. Make sure your age is filled in. Make sure every one of your zone names is filled in. Make sure that each of the ranges in here is filled in. And also go over here and make sure that you have at least 2 to 3 characteristics for each of these. If you have filled in all of the thumbs up sections, then you are awesome. And I'm going to give you a big giant thumbs up and a big giant maximum points for this assignment. I hope you found this helpful. All right, and good luck on this. And if you need further clarification, you know how to get in touch with me.